On Thanksgiving, Mom texted, "Your kids can't stay over. They eat too much. We need room for your sister's angels." That weekend, her fridge was full of food I'd been paying for. I quietly stopped one transfer. By Monday, Dad was at my door, waving receipts and shouting, "What did you do?" I'm Rosa, 34, single mom of 2 boys who eat cereal like it's a sport. I'm the older sister, the planner, the one with the minivan and the calendar app that sends me alerts to drink water. I'm also the daughter who always figures it out, which is a nice way to say I'm the family problem solver and ATM. Thanksgiving has always been my thing. I bring rolls and pies and I cut up vegetables while my mom and sister talk about the turkey like it's a celebrity, and I'm just the assistant with a peeler. That Wednesday, I left work early, stopped at Aldi for a mountain of butter and canned pumpkin, then swung by my parents' place to drop off pie tins. The house smelled like nutmeg and pines. My sister Reen was already there, her perfect twins watching a tablet on the couch, angelic with matching bows. "Hey," Reagan said without looking up. "You're doing the green beans. Don't oversalt." I smiled. "Got it. I don't oversalt. I know how to cook." I wanted to say that, but I kept it simple. Mom poked her head from the kitchen. "Rosa, don't let your boys run upstairs this time. The guest room is for the twins." I felt it. That small, familiar twist in my stomach, the first little crack that shows you where the whole wall might split if you press too hard. If you asked my family, they'd say I'm good with money. I'm not rich. I just budget like it's my love language. After my dad's knee surgeries last year, I offered to help. Prices went up. Their retirement wasn't stretching. There were medications. Mom cried on the phone. "Just until spring," she said. "You're the only one we can count on." So I set up a Saturday transfer. $200 every week straight into their checking. It felt easier than the awkwardness of handing over cash. I told myself it was groceries and gas. I told myself I was being a good daughter. The first few months, Mom texted me receipts, little heart emojis. "You're a blessing." Then the receipts got fewer. Then they stopped. I didn't push. I didn't want to be the money police. Dad would call sometimes and talk about the price of steak like he was narrating a sad nature documentary. I listened. I kept paying. I also picked up extra shifts, did surveys for gift cards, sold 3 old strollers on Facebook Marketplace. The boys' sneakers came from a discount site. Somehow it worked. Rianne, my younger sister, has a different life. She married well. They live in a house with 3 flex spaces and a dog who has better health care than I did in my 20s. She likes to say, "We all help in different ways," which means she brings centerpieces and a cheese board and I pay for the potatoes I peel. 2 days before Thanksgiving, Mom texted me at 9:13 p.m. I was folding laundry. The boys were in the tub trying to make a whirlpool. "Hey, honey," her text began, which is mom code for bad news about the sleeping arrangements. "Your kids can't stay over. They eat too much. We need room for your sister's angels." I read it 3 times. I could hear my own heartbeat. The words "eat too much" sat heavy. She meant my boys. My boys who say please and thank you and kiss her on the cheek. My boys who think Grandma's house is magic because she puts grapes in the freezer and calls them snowballs. I called her. She didn't pick up. Another text came. "It's just better this way. It's too much for us. You can come early and help and go home after." I typed, "Are you serious?" then deleted that. I typed, "We've always stayed over," then deleted that. I just put okay. Then I put my phone face down and listened to my kids laugh in the bathroom and felt like I'd swallowed a stone. The next day, I went over to drop off the pitons and saw the guest room already meet up with matching quilts for the angels. Mom said she said it like a joke. It didn't feel like one. I looked at the fridge and saw a note. "Rosa brings green beans. Rian brings brie. Dad carve." My name was there 3 times. Green beans, rolls pie. Rian had brie and sparkling water. I heard myself say, "Do you need anything else?" It came out before I could stop it. "No, honey," Mom said, patting my arm. "Just be on time." She turned back to the stove. I opened the fridge to put my butter inside and noticed how full it was. Not just full, packed. Ground turkey chicken breasts. 2 milks. The exact yogurt. My dad likes the cheap brand I buy when I'm budgeting the blue label that no one posts on Instagram. I recognize the cut of bacon, the bulk bag of shredded cheese, the off-brand sparkling water that tastes like someone whispered lime over tap water. It all looked so familiar because it looked like my own cart. I closed the fridge. I had a thought I didn't want to have. Then I pushed it away. It was Thanksgiving. I was not going to ruin Thanksgiving with math and resentment. That night, I told my boys, "We'll sleep at home after dinner this year. Grandma needs rest." My 8-year-old frowned. "But we sleep on the couch and watch the parade balloons at night." My 5-year-old said, "I like Grandma's pancakes." I said, "We'll make better pancakes." I said it like I believed it. I did not. Thanksgiving Day was fine. The turkey was dry. Reagan's brie was warm. Dad told the same story about the time the dog stole a drumstick, and we all laughed in the places we always laugh. My boys ate like they always eat: 2 rolls of pile of mashed potatoes, half a scoop of green beans, then a slice of pie. No one went bankrupt. At 7, I packed us up. Reagan took the twins upstairs. Mom gave me 2 containers for leftovers light as clouds. Just take some pie, she said. We need the rest here. We drove home in the dark. The boys fell asleep in their car seats. I carried them inside one at a time and tucked them in. Then I sat on the edge of my bed and opened my banking app out of habit. The Saturday transfer was scheduled for the next morning. $200. It had been going out for 52 weeks. $10 400. My stomach flipped. I thought of the full fridge. I thought about your kids eat too much. I told myself it wasn't connected. I told myself not to make a scene. I closed the app. On Saturday morning, I took the boys to soccer. After they begged for McNuggets, I checked my wallet and had $12 in cash. I said, "We have food at home." I felt like a cliché. We went home and had peanut butter toast and apple slices. They were happy. I was the only one sulking. At noon, I stopped by my parents' house to drop off a jar they'd lent me. I had the key. Mom and Reagan were out shopping. Dad was napping. The house was quiet. I walked to the kitchen to leave the jar and saw the fridge again full, not just full organized. 2 hams, a whole case of seltzer, the exact cereal. My boys like 2 boxes, the cheap brand, of course. I opened the pantry. Bulk rice, exact same bags. I buy the store brand pasta, the brand of marinara with the green lid that's always on sale. It felt like looking in a photograph of my groceries taken in someone else's house. I pulled back. I told myself I was being dramatic. I reached for the little drawer where Mom keeps pens and coupons to leave a note. The drawer stuck. I jiggled it open. Inside were paper receipts bundled with a hair tie. I didn't mean to snoop, but they were right there. I picked up the stack. On top, a receipt totaled $198.34 from last Saturday. The line items were my usual grocery list. Below it, another from 2 Saturdays ago. Same store, same pattern, same timing as my transfers. I stood there holding proof that I knew, but hadn't let myself see. I had been telling myself I was paying for groceries. I had imagined my dad's meds utilities, the hard stuff. But I was buying my parents' food, my sister's sparkling water, my niece's snacks, and my kids couldn't sleep on the couch because they eat too much. The front door opened. Reagan's voice floated in. "We got those little chocolate turkeys." Mom laughed. "Cute." I put the receipts back exactly how they were and closed the drawer. I left the jar on the counter and slipped out back. I stood on the porch and took a breath. I looked at my phone. The transfer hadn't gone out yet. It would hit in the morning. My finger hovered. I heard the word strings in my head. I hate strings. I don't like being owed. I like clean help. But this didn't feel clean anymore. It felt like I was paying for the privilege of being excluded. I opened the transfer and hit pause. Just for 1 week, I told myself. I didn't cancel it. I didn't write a manifesto. I didn't send a text. I just tapped. A simple, tiny stop. Then I went home and made grilled cheese. On Sunday, my phone buzzed with the usual church group messages and a picture from Reagan of the twins in matching sweaters. Mom texted in the afternoon, "Bring the boys by for leftovers." I said, "We're good." We were not. We had turkey sandwiches made with cheap bread. The boys liked them anyway. They dipped them in ketchup. They made faces. I tried to smile. Monday morning knocked like it had a warrant. Loud and fast. I opened the door in my pajamas, and my dad stood there in a jacket hair, uncombed, a wad of papers in his hand. What did you do?" he said louder than I'd ever heard him. He waved the wad. "Receipts. Your mother was humiliated at the store. The card kept declining. Do you know how that feels? We had to put things back." I blinked. My brain did the thing where it forgets how to connect sentences. I said good morning. It was automatic. My boys were still asleep. I stepped outside and shut the door a little to make the hallway quieter. "What are you talking about?" "You stopped the transfer," he said. "Our money is tight on Mondays. We count on that Saturday. We do our shopping then." I said, "You didn't call me." "Well, I'm calling now." He shouted, though he was standing right in front of me. He waved the paper again. His hands were shaking. "You are their parents. You do not do this to your parents." I felt something hot rise up in me. "You don't do what you did to your grandchildren," I said. I kept my voice low. "You told them they can't stay over because they eat too much." He flinched. "That's not your mother, didn't mean—" He stopped. He looked at me. He looked over my shoulder like he could see my kids sleeping. "Way, Rosa," he said softer. "We're trying. It's hard. Your mother panics. The twins are little. There isn't room." My boys are little too, I said, and I've been paying for your groceries for a year. I saw the receipts, I saw the fridge, I recognized everything because it all comes out of my paycheck. I took a breath. I am not mad about helping. I am mad about being told my kids are a burden while I'm literally buying the food you say they eat too much of. He opened his mouth, closed it. We didn't ask you to pause it, he muttered like he was picking a smaller fight he thought he could win. You asked me to help until spring, I said. It's winter again. If we're doing honesty, let's do honesty. I can't keep paying like this, Dad, not if I'm also the bad guy in the same week. He stared at the papers as if they might rearrange themselves into a different story. Tell you what, I said finally. I'll bring a box of groceries over today. I'll bring what you actually need, but the transfers are paused until we have a conversation about boundaries, about respect, about my kids. He shook his head. Don't make this ugly. It's already ugly, I said. You came to my door shouting. I made a quiet decision in my own house. We stood there. He sighed, deflated. He's not a villain. He's tired. He rubbed his knee. Your mother will be upset. She's already upset with my existence, apparently, I said, and immediately wished I hadn't. I'm not mean by nature. It came out of the bruise. He handed me the receipts like they were evidence, and he was the judge, and shuffled back to his car. Call me later, he said without looking back. I went inside and leaned against the door. My boys padded out in pajamas. Who was it? The older one asked. Grandpa, I said. We're going to make pancakes. We don't have syrup, the younger one said. We have jam. It's better. It wasn't better, but it was fine. I drove over at noon with a box. Not a punishment box. Just basics. Eggs, bread. A pack of the cheap coffee my mom likes, the yogurt Dad eats with honey, a bag of carrots cereal. I wrote a note on the box. I love you. Let's talk. Mom answered the door with tight lips. Drama, she said, like it was a diagnosis. Why do you always make drama? I paused one transfer, I said. I've paid every single week for a year. You told my kids they can't stay because they eat too much. She crossed her arms. I meant we don't have enough food for guests this week. Everything is so expensive and I need rest. Reagan's kids don't make messes. They're easier. I didn't laugh. I wanted to. You think we don't love them? She whispered. For a second I saw that she was scared under all the control. You think love without respect feels bad, I said. I think I can't keep paying, so you can tell me my kids are too much. If you need help, I will help. But not invisibly. Not like this. She looked at the box. She looked at me. She took the box without speaking and set it on the counter. She didn't offer me coffee. She didn't invite me in. Fine. I didn't push. Reagan texted me later. Mom says you cut them off. Not cool. If you were struggling, you could have said something. We could have pitched in. I stared at my phone. I have been saying something for a year by paying. You could have pitched in at any point. She sent a long paragraph about how her kids have food sensitivities and how their time and presence are valuable. I didn't respond. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and took my boys to the park. Dad called at sunset. Come by, he said, just you. I drove over. He sat at the table with a pen and a yellow pad. He looked older than he did on Monday. We've been sloppy, he said. We got used to you saving us. That isn't fair. I exhaled. I appreciate you saying that. He pointed to the list. The transfer. It was easy. Too easy. Your mother likes full fridges. It makes her feel safe. But it isn't right to make you carry that and then complain. She called my kids too much, I said. I needed him to hear it again. He nodded. She was wrong. She gets wound up. She doesn't like mess. She wants the holidays to look a certain way. She thinks you can handle anything because you do. That isn't a compliment. Not really. He tapped the pad. If you still want to help, sometimes we'll be specific. A list, no automatic. And if you say no, it's no. I'll help sometimes, I said. But we also need a boundary. If my kids aren't welcome, my money isn't either. If you want less mess, you get less help. That's the deal. He flinched at money isn't either, but then he nodded. Fair. We sat there in the new quiet. Do you want to come over Friday, I asked. I'm making pancakes with jam. We can try syrup if I find it on sale. He smiled. I'll bring syrup. He did. He showed up with a little bottle and a bag of oranges. He peeled one and sat on the floor building a train track with the boys. Mom didn't come. She sent me a thumbs up emoji in the morning and nothing else. It still hurt. Boundaries don't make you numb. They make you honest. I kept the transfer paused. I didn't unblock it. Dad sent me pictures of his yellow pad a few days later with a clear list. Gas copay coffee. I Venmo'd him $40 and wrote for coffee and copay. It felt clean. A week later, Mom texted, Are we okay? I typed, We're okay. When my kids are okay? She didn't respond for a long time. Then she wrote, They can stay over next time. I'll make pancakes. I stared at the screen. I wanted to say because of your angels. I didn't. I wrote, when we're invited, we'll come. When we're not, we won't. No more guessing. That's the moral I learned on my own front step while my dad waved receipts. Help is not love if help asks you to disappear. Generosity without boundaries is just slow resentment. If you can't welcome my children, you can't spend my money. If you can't say thank you, I can say no. Thanksgiving didn't look like a movie this year. It looked like pancakes with jam and syrup store brand on a Saturday morning in a kitchen where I could pay for what we ate and invite who I wanted. My kids were loud. The floor was sticky. It was